Good afternoon, everyone. It's the afternoon over here. So, welcome to your pranayam class. So, before I start, let's just open the class and then we'll connect. Okay, so everyone, just you can gently remove your specs if you're wearing your glasses, and then just sit up straight on your mat and gently close your eyes. And start observing your breath. Observe the natural flow of your breath as you inhale and as you exhale. And disconnect from all of your thoughts. Come back to your breath. And when you feel ready, you can begin to deepen your breath. As you inhale, your breath should be slow, long, and deep. As you exhale, take your time to expel the air out of the body. And make sure that there is no effort when you are inhaling and exhaling. We'll prepare ourselves for chanting Om 3 times, followed by 3 shantis. Exhale completely, and then inhale for Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Just feel the vibrations. Join both your palms together in front of the chest and rub both the palms together. Place them over the eyes. And very slowly, while blinking and looking at your palms, open up your eyes, come back with a smile. And namaste to everyone. Namaste. Welcome to your pranayam class. Yes, so we'll be covering a lot of topics throughout this month related to pranayam. Okay, so we had a short introduction in the morning. So I mostly see familiar faces only, people who came in the morning, and I can see your names. So that's a very good plus point for me. Okay. So today it's a basic introductory class. So you guys can take notes, whatever I'll be speaking. If there is any issue, you can go ahead, unmute yourselves and ask me. And I'll be writing it down in the chat box also for you so that you can make your notes properly. Okay. So when we hear the word pranayam, there are certain ideas that come up in our mind. Yes. So if you guys can just share with me what comes to your mind when you hear the word pranayam, that will be very uh, nice to know. I'll know where to start from then. So what are the ideas that come to your mind? Yeah, great. You can unmute them.
Maybe pranayam was for mentally peace.
Okay, good. Okay.
Um, the first thing I think of is breathing, just breathing.
Good. Anybody else? Any other responses?
In this, we always care of the breathe in and breathe out. It is the most thing in the pranayam.
Okay, good. Good. Yes.
I think of energy.
Sorry, can you repeat?
I think of energy.
Okay, energy. Oh, great. So a lot of responses. Very nice. Beautiful. So see, the word pranayam has a lot of depth to it. So all of the things that you guys have covered are included in pranayam. So let's move first to the technical definition of the word itself. Pranayam, when we think of this word, when we listen to this word, it's broken down in two ways. So you'll read mostly two meanings of pranayam. One is breath control. Okay. And the other one is expansion of breath. So I'll just break down the word for you in two different ways and tell you what it means, like the breakdown. What does that breakdown mean? So first one, as I said, breath control. So in that we break down the word pranayam as prana, which means life force. I'll be explaining prana more properly to you guys, but for now you can write life force or vital force. And yama. Pran and yama. Yama means to control. Okay. So the first meaning that we come to when we hear the word pranayam is the control of, I can say control of prana. There is a difference between your breath and prana also. So I'll also come to that. Okay. Then the second meaning that we can derive out of this is prana. Once again, you can write prana again and life or vital force, and then I am. So this is the second breakdown. Sorry, there was some network issue. I'm writing down the second meaning. First one is again prana, life force, and then ayam, which means expansion. Okay. So this takes us to the second meaning, pranayam, which means expansion of the life force that we have within us. Okay. So let me come to prana first, because ayam either means your expansion or control. So your control will also lead you to a state where you are expanding the breath. Okay. So expanding the pran. There's a difference between pran and breath, but both of them are generally interchangeably used because breath is a more, I can say, uh, understandable form of pran. Okay. So pran has a gross level of manifesting and then a subtle level of manifesting. So breath is the way in which it manifests itself, through which we can at least understand what prana is. Okay. So even if you're controlling it, we are trying to, what we're trying to do is, today we do prana only, no. Okay, so today it's before we go into the practice of pranayam, you need to understand what pranayam is, how you have to practice it, what are the precautions. So a few classes we are going to touch upon this, and then we are going to move ahead and go into the various practices of pranayam. Okay. Okay. So yeah. So I was explaining prana. I came to prana. Yes. So prana is the life force that you have within you. Okay. So as per Western philosophy, or as per science, I should say, as per science, there is energy and matter. Yeah. And as per science, there is living and non-living. So if I look at the table in front of me, I will say it's a non-living thing. And if I look at you guys, I will say living thing. Yeah. Or if I look at plants, I will say that is living thing. But when you come to yoga philosophy, it is very well understood. The basic assumption in yoga philosophy is that everything has prana, everything has life force. Even the table in front of me has a form of life force. It has some energy basically in it. So you must have heard of people buying different stones for different purposes, or keeping various stones in their house to change the energy. So why is it that the stone has the ability to change something for you or change the energy of that place? Because it has some level of pran in it. When you hold a particular thing, even water, food, all of these things have pranic value in them. Okay. So especially when we pray before food, before eating our food. So what happens? The taste of the food gets enhanced. We feel very grateful that we have that food. So we're changing the energy of that thing which exists in front of us, and somehow it tastes better now. That this in itself, when we experience this, explains to us that it doesn't matter if a thing, we categorize a thing as living or non-living, both things have pran in it. Living thing, it's very clear that it has the life force, but even a non-living thing has life force. So I'll give you an example. In India, we believe in bhakti yoga a lot, where we pray to a particular god. So the stone does not have, I would say, initially when the stone was carved, then we would like to believe that it's non-living, but we transfer our energy into things we create or we put in. So when you meet someone who is practicing bhakti yoga, they will say that you know I would say statue has life in it, because they are able to connect with the subtle energy of the thing that is over there. Okay. So prana is there in each and everything in this universe. Okay. And in human beings, we are able to experience it much more better. We are able to be aware of this life force. Yeah. And prana holds the most relevance in human life. Why? Because see, we are made up of 5 elements. Yes, I'm sure everybody is aware of it. Even if you're not, we are made up of 5 elements. Okay. And the 5 elements alone cannot do anything. Okay. Unless and until you put pran in this body, the 5 elements in themselves have the power to function, but not without pran. They have their own abilities, they have their own strengths, but it's pran which gives it that force to manifest itself. Okay. So pran holds a lot of importance for all of us. Also, why is it connected with the breath? Let me come to that. One thing is, it's a way of manifestation of prana. Okay. That we are breathing. So whenever we talk of pranayam, why do we talk of breath work? Is because it's a way of tapping into that prana. Okay. Second thing is that the breath, when you elongate that, then you are basically, right now, if you're taking 5 breaths in 1 minute, generally a normal human being takes 14 breaths in a minute. Okay. So if we are taking, say, 5 breaths, instead of those 14 breaths, we are taking the 5 breaths. So what we are doing is, we are somewhere, if we have a bank of, say, 100 breaths, so we are only utilizing 5 instead of those 14. So will my lifelong last for a longer period of time if I'm only utilizing 5 in a minute? Then of course the span in which I will cover the 100 breaths is longer. If I utilize 14 in 1 minute, yeah, then it will become shorter. So it was also seen that the number of breaths are limited. Okay, you can study about this in science, and there are various researches that have been done on this. So it's generally in your philosophy, we also believe that we have a limited number of breaths. Okay, so we can either take them very fast. Okay, I can have shallow breath, or I can elongate that, which directly leads you to the first benefit of practicing pranayam, which is your lifespan increases, because you are working on expanding that same thing. Okay, I have a reserve and now I'm elongating that. So my reserve will get depleted slowly. Okay, so this is how breath and prana are little bit different, but they are supporting each other. Another thing, if I ask you to hold your breath, I'm sure that at least for 5 seconds, all of you will be able to hold your breath and still stay alive. Okay. But when it comes to prana, if the prana leaves your body, then there is no way in which we will remain alive. Okay. So that is another difference between your breath and prana. That if the prana escapes the body, it is for sure that the person will not exist. But breath we can hold. We can even work on holding the breath for a longer period of time. Okay. So this is the basic meaning of pranayam for us. Okay. Let me move to some texts. Okay. So Patanjali Yoga Sutra. This we'll be covering in our philosophy classes also. I'm not writing down the name of the text right now because it will get very confusing, but I will write it down when we cover it in philosophy classes. Okay, so you guys can note it then. So that is a very, I would say, prominent text when you study yoga. In that text, in that text also we find pranayam, the mention of pranayam. But over there, pranayam has been explained as the retention of breath. Okay. So when the inhalation and exhalation ceases to exist, there is a natural state which comes for a yogi when you go into very deep practice of asana and pranayama. Then you experience this stage where on your own, automatically, the is breath stops. Okay. So inhalation and exhalation ceases to exist, and the part of kumbhak comes in, stopping of breath comes in. So that point has been explained as pranayam as per that yogic text. Okay. So it's not necessary that you have to control the breath only, or you have to direct the breath in a certain way, take the breath in a certain way to practice pranayam. Over there, a very high spiritual meaning of pranayam has been given, which is necessary for you to go ahead on your spiritual path. Okay. The pranayam practices and three practices of pranayam that we will be covering in this class is that you know, Hatha Yoga. We'll be doing this in a philosophy class also where we discuss what this is. But pranayam comes under the practice of Hatha Yoga. Okay. And there are 8 pranayams in total, which are talked of in 2 very major texts of Hatha Yoga. So 8 pranayams. This much detail is enough. Name of pranayam, everything. As the classes proceed, we will be covering. Okay. Next thing. Now we understood what prana is, that it exists in everything that is around you. We understood what pranayam is. Now let's go to the different aspects of pranayam. Okay. So when we talk of pranayam, as you said, inhale, exhale. So all of these terms have been given a name. Okay. So the first aspect. So I'm talking of 4 aspects of pranayam. No matter which practice you do, you eventually incorporate all 4 of these in your practice. Okay, so the first one is puraka or inhalation. Now, what is the difference between inhalation and puraka? I could have just told you it's inhalation, but I will mostly be using the term puraka. So it has some qualities attached with it when you come to this Sanskrit term. Okay. So the inhalation is conscious. One thing is generally we breathe during the day. We are not aware that the breath is going on. It's a natural process that goes on. So one thing is that when we say the term puraka, it is a conscious inhalation. You are aware that you are inhaling, breath is entering your body, going in and filling up in the lungs. Yes. So that entire process. Second quality of this practice, this inhalation, is that it is slow, long, and deep. Okay, so all 3 things, these are 3 different things, but you can place that as the second point: slow, long, and deep. Okay. So in from next class or after a few classes, I'll be asking you, when you close your eyes before chanting Om, I'll be asking you to breathe, and when I ask you to breathe, I'll use these terms, so you should know how you have to breathe when this instruction is given. Okay. Third thing which comes in when we talk of this breath, this type of breath, is effortlessness. Okay. So when you reach the stage of pranayam, there should be no effort over there. So you can write this down first, then I will explain this point. So the process now I've shifted it to effortlessness. So when you close your eyes, you start observing your breath, then a stage will eventually come in where your breath will in itself very naturally shift to a point where it becomes slow, long, and deep. So you are looking for that point when we talk of Puraka. Okay, conscious, slow, long, deep breath without any effort. This is a natural state. If you are forcing it, then you should switch back to where you were unless and until your mind and body becomes that calm where you are able to go into this process. Okay, so it will come in when you are in your posture, you are able to observe the natural breath, and eventually it will start getting elongated. Okay? So never force this. So generally what happens is when this instruction comes in, students generally go for a breath like this. So this noise comes in when you breathe. So you have to avoid this noise. Why? Because when the noise is coming in means that you are somewhere placing some effort in the breath. Okay, so when you're naturally sitting, it will start happening on its own. So I have to wait for that. Okay, so everyone will have a different experience when they are doing this. Everyone will take their own time, and even on different days, you will take your own time to reach this stage. So don't worry about it. With practice, everything can be achieved. So we will work on this during the classes. Okay. So let me come to the second aspect, which is Rechaka. Exhalation. The exhalation also holds all these qualities as we had discussed for inhalation. All 3 points are coming same for exhalation, but the process is reversed now. Earlier you were taking in the breath, now you are exhaling toxins from the body. So as the breath moves out, you are aware that okay, now I'm breathing out. Okay, same qualities. Then let me come to the third aspect. So the third one is further subdivided into two, and that is how the four aspects are covered. So third one is kumbhak or retention. So one meaning I explained as kumbhak only, where your breath is naturally retained. In some texts, that is the practice of pranayama. Yes, so they are working specifically on this particular aspect when they talk of pranayama in texts like the other texts where the spiritual journey is given in a different way. So kumbhak is retention. When you are aware, once again, there is no effort in this practice. The kumbhak practice starts with your own natural pace. Okay, so you cannot say that, okay, hold the breath for 5 seconds, and then I expect you to hold your breath for 5 seconds. No, again, it is an effortless state. So when you are ready, when your breath becomes ready, when your body mind becomes ready, then you go into the practice of kumbh. Okay? So again, make sure you don't force yourself when you are over here in this practice. So kumbhak has been further divided into two parts. One is when after I inhale, I am holding my breath. So it's called internal retention or antar kumbhak. So you can just, the word kumbhak you have written, you can make one arrow which writes internal retention, one arrow which says external retention or bahir kumbhak. So in these classes, mostly we will not go very deep into the practice of kumbhak. And even if we go into the practice of kumbhak, then we will only go for internal retention mostly. After inhalation, you guys will hold, then you will exhale. So most likely, because we have so many pranayams in our course, we will not have the time to work on both the retentions. And one more thing, retention is a very advanced practice. Okay, so first try to perfect just the inhalation and exhalation part of each pranayam. So when we switch from one pranayam to the other, the way of inhaling, the way of exhaling will change. That is what we will work on when we do the different pranayam. So it's very important that once you attain mastery over the inhalation and exhalation, it is only then that you step into the practice of retention. Okay. So for common public, try to avoid that. With each pranayam, I will be telling you the contraindications, who should practice, who should not practice, how should one practice if they're going in the practice of kumbhak. So I'll be explaining everything to you. Okay, depending on your own um, capability, you guys can go ahead and practice that. Okay. Any doubts so far in everything that we have discussed? No? All good? Okay. So now the notion of pranayam has completely changed for you, I'm very sure, because right now only practical things are going on. Nobody touches up on the theory part a lot. But it is very important that you work on your inhalation and exhalation first. Yes, they are very important aspects if you want to go deep into pranayam. Because if you set your breath pattern correct, then you won't face difficulty in changing your breath pattern from one form to the other. But if I'm not able to breathe correctly, then there is no way in which I can step up and direct my breath. Yes, direct my inhalation, exhalation. So start with the starting of classes. Main thing we have to work on is this natural process and how we are going to direct that. Okay. So let me come to the next part where we are talking of pranayam. So where does this pranayam come in? We also need to understand. So as per yogic philosophy, the concept of panch kosha, okay, 5 sheets exist. So I'm just giving you a brief idea about this so that you are aware which part of your being you are working on when you are doing pranayama. Okay. So first one is, so let me just write the name. Panchkosha or 5 sheets. So first one, so let me first come to this. So Panchkosha or 5 sheets are basically different dimensions that you can experience of your own being. Okay. So they are not like as per some philosophies we have body, mind, soul. This is something you would have heard of a lot. So apart from that, also like some people only believe that there is this body and nothing else. They don't even believe in the soul, mind also we can experience. But as per yogic philosophy, apart from the soul, the soul is covered by these 5 sheets. Okay. So which is the first one? The most external sheet, I can say. So you can draw a circle in between, color it, and say that is the soul or your individual consciousness, and then draw a very big circle outside. Okay. And that circle is your Anmay Kosh. Sorry, did someone say anything? Okay, so first one, the most external one that we are able to experience in our day-to-day life, this body is the physical body that we see. Anmay Kosh, we call it. So the word an means food. So the body which requires food for its sustenance is the Anmay Kosh, the physical body as you see it. Like I'm able to see you guys, you're able to see me. So this body is your Anmay Kosh. Okay. Then the second layer. So you can draw a circle inside it and then mark that as your Pranmay Kosh. So Pranmay Kosh, the vital body, the body which has the vital force. Yes. So if I go for an X-ray, I'll at least be able to see my arteries and veins. But when it comes to Pranmay Kosh, it cannot be seen. This is the difference between the first two. And in fact, as we go deeper, these layers cannot be seen through the naked eye. So in pranayam, we work on the second kosha, which is the pranmay kosh. Okay. So the concept of nadis come in. So like arteries and veins, in the pranmay kosh, the energy travels through these vessels, energy vessels that we call nadis. I'll write this down. We'll go in detail about the concept of nadis also later on. Basic understanding. For basic understanding, we can say that arteries and veins are there for physical body and nadis are the channels through which the energy travels in this pranmay kosh. Okay. Then we can make another small circle. Now that circle is getting closer to the one you colored in between. So then we come to manomay kosh. Your mental body. So we all experience the mind. Yes, we experience the breath, then we experience the mind. So your thoughts, your emotions, all of these fall into the category of the Manomaya Kosh. Okay. Then we have the Vijnanmaya Kosh. Yes, so this is the layer where you experience your intellect. So intellect is also something that we experience. The mind and emotions have a tendency to waver, to confuse us. When you have a lot of thoughts, you don't know what decision to take. But the faculty of the mind which makes the decision is your intellect. Yes, so the intellect will always know what is right for you, what is not. So that decision making capacity, when you experience that, then you experience the sheath of the body, the Vijnanmaya Kosh. Okay. And the last one, which is the closest to your soul, I can say, is the Anandmaya Kosh. Okay. It's also known as the bliss body. Now over here matters get very subtle. Okay, before this at least I'm able to either see my body or experience that. But when you come to the Anandmaya Kosh, it's a very subtle state that you experience, and mostly when we experience it, we are not aware of it. So it's generally said that when we are in deep sleep, we are able to touch this layer, the Anandmaya Kosh. Okay. So various practices in yoga work on the various sheaths, and we are currently in these classes, we are going to work on the second sheath, which is the Pranayama Kosh. When you do asanas, you work on your Anmaya Kosh. Yes, work on the body, and then we go a little bit deep to the pran. So now when you study in your philosophy classes also, it's generally seen that after asana practice, pranayam practice is given. So this is the reason you work from one level to the other. The one which is most visible to you, you start with that, and then you gently, very slowly sleep down to the other layers. Okay. Okay. So this is your concept of panch kosha and pranayam all in all. Tomorrow we will talk about the 5 pranas that are there in the body. If you want, you can research more about these layers. I will not touch up very much in depth. The only one that I'm going to go deep into in these classes is the pranayama approach. Okay, so the rest of it was for your information, for your holistic understanding of this entire concept, the concept of this practice. Okay, any doubts in any of the things we have discussed so far? No? All good? All right. Okay. Great. So tomorrow we will talk about the 5 pranas that are there in the body and what is the function of those pranas, and then we'll move ahead. Certain things you need to know before your pranayama practice. I will be discussing those. So when you take classes, just make sure, or when you practice for your own self, just make sure that whatever I'm covering in the next 2-3 classes, basically, mostly it's going to be theory, but these points are very important before you step into the practice of pranayama. Okay, so make sure you attend them, gain all of this information so that you are able to go ahead and practice it correctly. Okay, main point is practicing whatever you are doing correctly. Okay, so let's end today's class then. Yeah. Okay, so everyone back and next straight, just gently close your eyes and start observing the breath. The natural flow of the breath. And take a few seconds to allow all of this information to seep in. We'll chant Om one time, followed by 3 Shanti. Exhale completely, and then inhale for Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Just feel the vibration and join both your palms together in front of the chest, bow down. We'll begin by thanking the universal energy, the Guru, parents, friends and family, food, clothes and shelter. Just say a mental thank you and now rub both the palms together. Place them over the eyes and very slowly, while blinking and looking at your palms, open up your eyes, come back for the smile. And namaste to everyone. I will see you all tomorrow for your philosophy class. Yes. Do let me know in case of any doubts. So you guys can once again, yeah. Any doubt? Okay. Okay, so you guys can watch your pre-recorded videos also, just in case you want to add up more. Otherwise, we are starting from scratch only, so you will you can be sure you won't be missing out on it. Okay. Right? Okay. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye. Okay, so philosophy is there is a schedule Are you added to the group, the online group? Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah, I begin
posted-
today, so
So are you added to the online group or are you not?
yeah, we
So I posted an announcement today on the group only about the timings of the class. So you can go ahead and check that message.
ok,
Okay.
d'accord,
Post that.
merci.
Yeah. I'll post it
Merci.
one more time just in case. Okay.
Merci beaucoup.
Oh,
Au revoir.
thank you.